What's going on, guys? Waco here at Watches and Wonders 2023 with Eleonor Picciotto and, of course, the wonderful and great Wilhelm Schmid, CEO of Lange Söhne. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, actually, very well. Good to see you, actually, for the first time.
Likewise.
So you have an integrated bracelet sports watch called the Odysseus, which is the object of lust for so many watch collectors around the world. So now you made it even more challenging for them because you've introduced now an automatic chronograph version of this watch. Willem, tell us about this watch.
Yeah, from the beginning it was clear that we wanted to create a family. The challenge is, if you want to create a family, you need a strong design. That's good to start with. But then you have to think about your next step and the following step, because a strong design means you always have to work with that design. And if you look at the Lange 1 family or the Zeitwerk family, you see that it comes with certain restrictions. So that's why we started working on that watch actually before we even launched the original Odysseus.
Wow, amazing.
Because we know that it will take a lot more time to create a chronograph. If you want to maintain the typical face, the date, the push buttons and all that for the Odysseus. But I also think I don't open a secret that from the beginning people were assuming that we come with a chronograph, right, because they saw the integrated push buttons and said they can be good for something.
But it took 6 years overall.
Actually even more. 6 years that we worked really on that iteration, because it took, until then we did know that's how the Odysseus will look like, and then we started working around it. And again, if you look at the watch, one of the things is the day and the date. So if you work around that, it becomes pretty clear. If you want to maintain it, where do you put the chronograph?
Yes, so you don't have space for the subdials as you would in a traditional chronograph. But Willem, you came with a great and really efficient solution for this, which keeps the watch's design integrity beautifully. Tell us about that.
It comes out of the center, so it's a second counter out of the center, and if it jumps out, it will unveil the minute hand. So it will collect the minutes on the dials. It's a 60-minute counter. And there is what we call a dynamic reset. If you then want to zero it, the second hand will catch the minute hand.
Oh wow!
And it will go smoothly
at
a certain speed, but not like dang. It will go like a machine back to zero.
That's actually quite romantic. So the second hand catches up with the minute hand, and they go back together.
Exactly.
I have a bit of that relationship with my girlfriend. Where I get lost, and then she finds me, and we go home together.
I'm not sure whether I said something similar. But
I'm a lot older than her. To be honest. That's why I get confused sometimes. So Will, maybe you could show the camera how to operate the watch. So it's the push piece that you normally use as one of the correctors for the date, right?
Absolutely, and you can actually still use it to correct the day and the date. You just have to pull the crown.
Right.
So it's a multifunctional push button.
Oh, that's brilliant, yeah.
Again, we wanted that very clean design.
Right.
This is clear that, from the Odysseus. Of course, the watch is a little thicker.
Right.
There are a lot of hands that have to go on top of each other here.
Right.
So there's a bit of space between the dial and the crystal. And also the real estate that you need just for all the complications that also deserves a bit of space. But overall, it's but I have ladies' wrists, so
I have a man's wrist, so that's fine.
It needs to work around my wrist, and it does very nicely.
And how do you think it will open up to a new range of collectors, both feminine and masculine, when it comes to high watchmaking?
I don't believe in that gender thing at all.
I agree.
I think you buy what you like, and some ladies love bigger watches, and some ladies love smaller watches. So
some guys like smaller watches.
Absolutely. I mean, I always say we also don't produce watches for tall men or for small men.
Right.
We don't have a ladies range or a men's
So how would you
range.
put that watch to a lady? Considering all the craftsmanship, all the work that's been put into it, all the DNA that Lange, the brand has to offer in just one case.
Should work for the brand.
Done.
Done.
If I could just
I'm the new spokesperson of Lange.
Obviously it has worked.
So guys, this is a start, stop, and reset. when the crown is in. I'm not going to touch it. And then when you pull it out, then you can use the two pushers to operate the day and the date
Yes.
as well, right? And what's really nice is that you basically have the minute counter and the seconds hand, or the chronograph seconds hand, coaxial in the same cannon pinion for the hour and minute. So it's everything's super legible, but it's really clean as well.
Yeah.
Right? And then if we're going to just turn the watch around, what's really amazing also is it's an automatic chronograph. That's right. It's the first Lange automatic chronograph, which is amazing. It's vertical clutch, column wheel configuration, which means you can leave the chronograph running indefinitely with no drain on amplitude, which is also really cool, like just from a functional perspective as well. But look at it, the movement is beautiful. It's everything that's Lange.
Lange Söhne.
Absolutely. You know, I guess the last question we should ask you, Willem, because you know, you're going to make 100 of them. There's going to be a lot of people who want them. I would imagine maybe more than 100. How will you decide how to allocate these watches? You know?
Look, it's very clear to go to our best collectors.
Right.
So they have the right of first refusal, and I assume that the job is probably done after that.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Probably been done already now, I would imagine.
But let me also share with you the reason why we limited to 100. If you look at our chronograph, we have 13 in the current collection. It's the department that probably takes the most strain at the moment because all these chronographs are on waiting time. And now we add another and a difficult to assemble watch to that family, which will deserve a lot of training. So we'll take actually capacity away to allocate it here. And the result is 100. Wow. And that will take us a few years to build. And that's why I already apologize to whoever we may frustrate and disappoint because he or she can't get the watch. It's not because it's a created scarcity, it's a result of what we do and how we do it.
It's a human
and it's the reality of the market, of the brand, of the demand, and what the maximum capacity that a brand can produce. People always say, well, make more. It's just not possible.
No, it's hands that build it. You know, it's not like machines and robots, and they can work 8 hours. They can work 8 hours and sometimes 9. But you know, there is a limit to what you can expect from them at that level of quality that you know you pay so much money for. And that's the natural limit to what we can do, and that's why you know. The 5,500 watches that we build is probably what we're going to build for in the foreseeable future. There is no much hope for growth because even we have our own school.
Right.
You know, we train our own watchmaker. We do a lot of that, but it's 10, 15 a year. That's it.
Willem, I have one last question for you. Maybe Eleonor has one as well, but next year is an interesting year for me because it's the 20th anniversary of Revolution.
Yes.
But next year is an interesting year for you because it's the 30 years of Lange Söhne. I can't imagine, and I don't want to ask you to reveal too much.
I know where this is going.
But can you tell us a little bit about, like, you know, emotionally what that means to you and what?
It's people always think we've been around forever, which is true with the exception that we were dormant for 40 years because we were behind the Iron Curtain. We didn't exist.
Right.
So if today we talk about vintage watches, they're maximum 29 years old because that was the first watches that we introduced and also distributed. I think 30 years means we are now grown-ups. And I think our collection is a nice representation of that.
Nice.
If you go out on the other side of the booth, you see 71 movements.
Wow.
These are 71 movements that we developed in the last 29 years.
That's crazy.
But then if you go to the last 12 years, you see the acceleration.
Right.
It's actually not a slowdown, it's an acceleration. And I think that's us. It comes with the restriction of capacity. But I also believe that whoever understands a little bit about fine watchmaking, that's also a nice story for them.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Willem.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Good to see you. Very nice meeting you.
Likewise.
Peace.